Welcome to the Digital E-commerce podcast, where we uncover actionable strategy to grow your business in the ever-evolving digital landscape. I'm your host, Dylan Lam, and today we are thrilled to have an extraordinary guest with us today, Talia. Talia is one of the founders from GetUplift, the go-to CRO agency for high-growth brands like Bitly, Sprout Social, and Mercedes, and many more. Her expertise lies in helping companies optimize their funnels and create customer experience that drive conversion, by combining customer-centric method with emotional targeting. Talia and her team have delivered impressive results for clients worldwide. In today's episode, Talia will share her insight on conversion optimization, A/B testing, and power of emotional reasoning in marketing. Talia, when I heard of the Bitly, Sprout Social, Mercedes-Benz, those are the OG brand. That's impressive, right? How are you today?
I love all of our clients. We have an impressive roster from e-commerce to B2B brands. I think I'm lucky because I don't have to, really narrow it, and I get to choose. So we have some really lovely people that we're working with, and we love the teams that we get to work with.
How do you get started in conversion optimization in CRO agency?
So I started by running ads and campaigns at a social media agency. That was kind of my origin story. It had nothing to do with CRO at first. This was over a decade ago, and it was back in the days when people, most brands didn't even really implement Google Analytics as well as they should. It was all about likes and comments and engagement back then, and no one was really measuring anything, I guess, like in terms of purchases or sales. And one of the things that I found frustrating was that we were working with some really e-commerce brands, but we had no idea beyond the engagement on a Facebook page or via a Facebook ad or Twitter if we were really having an impact on the business. And one of the things that I started doing is getting into Google Analytics, looking at, what are we actually doing? Is it set up correctly? Do we have an impact? Are we in some way impacting sales or at least traffic? And that's when I also started testing stuff. So I changed ad copy, and I played around with headlines on landing pages and images. And at some point, someone came up to me and said, what you're doing is called conversion optimization, and it's a thing. Now, back then, there were 3 agencies in the whole wide world that did conversion optimization. No one was really talking about it at all. There was one blog online. And I fell in love. I loved it. And I was lucky enough to work with 2 other partners, and we created our first CRO agency, and we started optimizing websites and landing pages and funnels. And I learned a ton from it. And after they sold their company, I tried going in-house, but didn't really like it, and started my own agency, which is Gift. And I've been running it for almost 9 years now.
Amazing. How would you describe, for our audience context, how do you describe CRO in today's digital?
I think back in the day when I just got started, I think it was I don't know, it was so long. Most of my pitch was about why you need to do conversion optimization. It was about the fact that, you're spending a ton of money on ads and you're not spending enough on optimizing your website or your landing page. Today, it's a whole other ball game, right? Today, I would say that conversion optimization is all, something that everyone wants to do. All brands that want to scale their growth and want to run a meaningful marketing campaigns or strategies really do need to do CRO. I would say that the biggest piece, though, now is that my main focus in conversion optimization is talking about solving people's problems. So it's less about changing elements on the page. And I developed, about 10 years ago, I developed the emotional targeting framework, which is all about understanding why people buy and creating funnels, websites, emails, landing pages that cater to those emotions and real intent. So when I think about CRO in today's landscape, I really am thinking about how brands should be leveraging CRO to make critical business decisions, to make decisions about their product, to make decisions about their customers. And it's whole, it's what should be driving your entire marketing strategy versus what it used to be, which was more about, adding a pop-up.
Right. So how would you describe like back in the days and today, like for example, like back in the days with Hotjar, now we're using Microsoft Clarity, but what changes with AI that improve, how would you describe the today's latest landscape?
So I'm quite well known for my kind of sentence, which is, software and technology changes, but actually that people don't. And when you think about CRO as a tactic, then we think about software. We think about A/B testing tools. We think about Hotjar or Mouseflow or other tools that you can use for A/B testing. I would say that there's an obsession with tools and software and obviously AI, and they deserve their space in this conversation. But I would argue and say that without a shadow of a doubt, if you do not do foundational research about your customers and really truly understand why they buy from you, their emotional triggers, their decision-making levers, all of that software will be wasted. Because in order to use software in a good way, you have to feed information into it, or you have to come with deep insights to be able to use them in a good way. So it's the same like with heat maps and user recordings. You can't just look at them and say, well, what am I seeing here? You have to come with a hypothesis. You have to come with questions. And it's the same with AI, and it's the same with A/B testing platforms, and it's the same with email automation. Any tool that you use, you have to first feed in information about your customers. Who are they? What's keeping them up at night? What have they tried that hasn't worked from them before? What do they value most about you? How do they feel before finding a solution? How do they want to feel about themselves after? All that is what helps you leverage AI and software. I would say that these days, it's even more important to think about the human side of conversion optimization.
Right. Is that part of the emotional optimization of emotional and psychology of optimization that you can on?
Yes. So every time we start working on any website or any landing page, we first do our customer research, and it is geared in psychology and emotion, because we know from our research and from our experience, and obviously from a lot of data from neuroscientists and psychologists who've proven this for for decades and decades, that emotion motivates every single decision that we make. And emotion is ingrained into every decision that we make. Without emotion, we actually lack the ability to make any decision. So when we try to optimize a website or a funnel, the first thing we want to ask ourselves is, why do people buy this product? It's not to do with pricing. It's not to do with features. It's not the technology. First, there's an emotional reason behind it. And we leverage customer surveys, interviews, review mining, social listening, emotional competitive analysis, and many other frameworks in order to uncover those motivations and to uncover those emotional triggers. And then we leverage that in order to optimize a website. So we'll be able to look at the copy or a design or a flow or a funnel or the UX of a website or even a navigation of a website and clearly see why this isn't resonating, why this isn't converting, because of the use of wrong colors or the use of wrong visuals and images or the use of wrong messaging. So everything that we do when we do conversion optimization starts with customer first optimization and research.
All right, cool. Can you like, how do you do that? As in, like, is there any like things that our audience can take home that they can do it by themselves today?
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing that I would recommend doing is a customer survey. So if you are running an e-commerce site and you want to optimize your website, before just resulting to best practices and going into Google and looking for, how do I optimize my product page article, I would strongly advocate doing a customer survey. Now, when I say customer survey, I don't mean a survey that is based on, do you like our product? Why did you choose us? How do you feel about it now? I'm talking about an actual survey that uncovers how, when, and why they bought from you. And this means going a little bit deeper. It's asking about the things that happened that got them to your website. It's asking about the most important thing or pain that has been eliminated thanks to your product. It's asking about how they would describe it to a friend and what would happen if they could no longer use this product. All these questions are super important because they help you identify the why, the real why. Because if you now go to your customers and ask them, why did you buy from us? They'll probably say something like, well, you had the best pricing, fast shipping, best technology. But really what you want to understand is the emotional side of stuff. So a customer survey that asks meaningful questions can really help you, because you can immediately spot the opportunities and what you can say. If someone says to you, I would describe this product as X, that's what you want to be saying on your website. That's what you want to be showing on your website. So I would start with a customer survey. I would do a visitor survey. Those are imperative for understanding why they're on your website and what's not working for them right now that has made them come to your site. I would do an emotional competitor analysis. An emotional competitor analysis is different than a regular competitor analysis. If you think about regular competitive analysis, it's usually about, pricing, what are their features, and what is the product, and what's the technology, and you kind of look at it from that. When we do an emotional competitor analysis, we're actually looking at who is our competitor speaking to? What is their main promise? What words are they using? What colors, what visual? What is their main kind of value proposition, and how can you stand out in that crowded market? So there's many different things that you can do, whether you already have customers or if you're just getting started. There's a lot of research that can help you get started with uncovering these emotional motivations.
Amazing. So what we can do is like to create a customer survey. Like, what are the questions that would you recommend the first step that we should put it into?
So one of the questions I mentioned before, I think is one of my favorite. If you had to convince a friend to try this product, what would you tell them?
Like an NPS score, right? In that.
No, because NPS scoring is just a score. There's nothing you can do with that. Meaning, if I come out to you and I say, hey, Dylan, on a score of 1 to 10, how would you rate this paper airplane? Yeah, and you can say 8. That's great. And maybe everyone says 8, and you can go on your website and say, we were rated number 8 out of 10, which is nice, but that doesn't answer your question. I'm trying to uncover why people buy. I'm trying to leverage the answers to write better copy. And that means that I would ask, how would you describe this product to a friend if you wanted to convince them to give it a try? Now you're going to get full answers with text and copy, and people are going to say, well, they're going to tell stories. They're going to explain what they love about the product. They're going to describe the product to you. And this is going to be your big reveal, because you're going to see how your customers describe you. describe the pain. You could also, before using this product, how did you solve this problem? What were you doing? This uncovers what they were trying before. Sometimes we think that our biggest competitors are other brands, but oftentimes our biggest competitor is doing nothing or a spreadsheet. We don't know this because we don't ask. So asking, hey, how did you solve this? How did you solve this problem beforehand? What did you do? Or what was going on in your life that made you come to our website and look for this solution? What happened? What was the trigger? These are great questions to ask in order to get to the heart of why people bought from you, the pains that triggered them onto your website, what convinced them to buy from you. You could also ask, what was the thing you were most concerned about before, hitting buy? What was the one thing you were worried about? And then what convinced you that this would be okay? So all these questions are deeper, and they're meant to get as much text as possible, as much insight as possible, so that you can get into people's minds and heads and hearts and really understand the real.
Amazing. And what are the most common mistake? Oh, let me turn the clock. I was about to ask, where should we ask that question? Should you ask it in the email once they purchase, or are you gonna phone call them, or text messages? What are the channel that would makes the most efficiency when it comes to having them and what are the typical open rate or high rate when it comes to conducting that survey?
I would say, and I'll start with the second question, I'd say that you want to collect as many responses as possible. If you can get a few hundred, great. If you can't, that's also okay. A few dozen is okay. But I would also add additional research to that. So a visitor survey, some interviews, social listening, review mining, adding research types to your process helps avoid biases and data pollution. And I'll answer the first question. How do you send this out? So what we typically do is we'll create the survey for our customers within a tool like SurveyMonkey or Typeform, and we email it to the customers. However, one thing I would say is that you want to target your best customers. So can you run a survey on a thank you page once someone bought from you? Yes, and you definitely should. But with those kind of surveys, you're going to get one type of answer. But if you are trying to get to a certain customer that's bought from you 3 times, let's say, then you want to segment that and who you're sending it to. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, what am I trying to answer in this survey? What am I trying to figure out? Who do I need to speak to figure this out? And then you can create the survey Typeform or SurveyMonkey and send it out as an email. So first, ask the question as a team. What are you trying to uncover? 2, segment your audience so that you know who you want to ask this question. Maybe it is immediate people, like people that just now bought, and that is perfect for a thank you page or a follow-up email. Or maybe it's someone who's bought from you 3 or 4 times, and you're trying to figure out how you can get more people to do that. Sometimes it's retention. So you want to figure out who you want to survey. You want to figure out what the goal of the survey is, and then you can create the survey and send.
For that. How about mistake? What are the most common mistakes that when it comes to CRO that you most see from a typical seller or businesses?
Do you mean mistakes in CRO or mistakes in research, or what do you think is the?
I would say in CRO in general.
I think the biggest mistake that I see in CRO is that companies keep it tactical and they follow best practices and they copy competitors. It's all part of one thing, and that is they're treating CRO like a tactic. Oh, I want to drive add to carts, or I want to get more higher AOV, then I should add a pop-up, change a headline, reduce a form field, I don't know, add an exit pop-up. All that stuff is tactics. And when you do tactics, that means that you are basing all of your ideas on best practices, something that you read on the web or something that someone told you or something that you saw your competitors do. That's not strategic and that's not helpful. So the biggest mistake I would say is that you are treating CRO like it's tactics and not a strategy. When you want to think about conversion optimization, you want to think about it as a strategy for answering critical business questions, for getting to know my customers better, for knowing how to price my products, a strategy that's going to help me scale my growth. And that means that you start with research. That means that you have hypotheses for each test. That means that there's a clear roadmap for the whole year of what you're trying to achieve. And most companies just don't do that. Most companies really do approach it as tactical. And they're on this hamster wheel, which means that they're kind of testing best practices and random ideas. They're copying competitors. They end up sounding like everyone else. Then they don't know what to change and what to test. So they buy tools and software and products because they hope that that will help. But then they implement the tools that cost them a lot of money, but they don't know what to test with these tools. So they're back to, guessing and best practices. So that is really the biggest mistake that I see. And I'd say the second mistake is probably not understanding that conversion optimization is about helping people solve their problems, that your goal with conversion optimization is to understand the problem that people are trying to solve and to just solve it for them. And that's what will help them convert. Again, it goes back to the tactics, but what we want to do is help people feel seen, help people clearly see that the product is for them, that you're solving their particular problem so that you can convince them to trust you. And
being tactical is actually something that it's a bit like following the script is actually something that CRO, that I would agree that is not something that we should do. Following the data approach is actually a more significant, because obviously when back in 2013 is different than what happened like right now when we search on Google. To be fair, myself, I no longer care about what Google is showing me. I'm actually just looking at the AI. Like, that's the reason why we don't really want to just follow the script. We just want to find out what's working, especially if your website get that much of data. So Talia, let's talk about landing. Like in today's landing page, like if we go into like insert page, those kind of like landing page, they all have their own, say, best converting landing page, right? So what if they already know the best converting landing page? So what else should we optimize? Of course, those are just landing page, but let's say for e-commerce, like it's going to be like a lot of like cart optimization. Like, can we talk more toward e-commerce wise? Like, what do you think? What are the elements that makes the high converting landing page, and how do you prioritize the changes during the optimization?
Yeah, I would say when there's templates for landing pages, I think that's a great start for anyone that's just getting started. But if you want to run a successful e-commerce website, it can't be templatized and it can't be based on someone else's best practice. Best practices are foundational. They're great for getting started, knowing that maybe a carousel isn't the best idea, or that your call to action should be at the top, or that you should include a testimonial. All that stuff is great, but it's foundation. When you're thinking about conversion optimization, what you want to be doing is prioritizing your tests based on impact and based on ease of implementation and based on what is going to have the biggest impact for you. I know that oftentimes people rush to the checkout. The actual checkout where you're paying, because it feels like, okay, that's the biggest drop. But in my experience, oftentimes it's on the homepage, it's on a catalog page, it's on the product page, it's on a category page. Those pages have huge potential because you've got a lot of people landing on, that are trying to learn about your products. They're trying to learn about whether or not they should invest in them and buy them. And that's where you can have a bigger impact, and you can usually test a lot more in terms of the messaging that you're using, in terms of the visuals that you're using, and most importantly, the content hierarchy. I think oftentimes I look at e-commerce websites and I feel like they're skipping so many important pieces, like who do you serve? Who is this for? What problem are you solving? Why should I believe you? Why are you the right company to solve this problem for me? Oftentimes it's just, here's our product, here's what it does. It has a 6-day battery and it will remind you to do this. And, there's a warranty for 2 years. And buy now because there's 60% off. It's very technical. It's very based on buy. Come on. There isn't any regard to who the customer is and why they're buying. So those pages are critical for you to establish your brand, to establish that you are the right company to solve problems. So I definitely start there. Obviously, it depends on your data and your metrics and where you are. But templates are a good start. But if you want to really scale and optimize, you have to go beyond that, and you have to do your research, and you have to completely rethink your content hierarchy on every single page.
What are the first, in terms of funnel optimization, can you let us go again? Can you let us know again, what are the first steps you think everyone should optimize first? Is it going to be the product page? Is it going to be the home page? What are the pages that you think everyone should be optimizing first?
It depends on your website, and there isn't a one solution for all. Homepage is usually a catch-all. That's where most of the traffic goes to, but that doesn't mean you have to optimize it first. It's the hardest page to optimize. You go into Google Analytics and you see where the biggest leaks are, and that's where you choose. If you're driving a lot of traffic to your product pages, then that's probably a good spot to start in. But for example, with Upright, a wonderful device and a great company we worked with for a few years, their product was technical product that's based on biofeedback. It's a health product that reminds people to sit up straight and fixes their posture and rids them of pain. And for us, what we understood is, yes, most people do land on the product page. So we can optimize the product page, and we did. But actually what happens is people don't really understand how it works. People don't really know if they can trust the product. So after landing on the product page, they actually go to additional pages like the homepage or the catalog or the testimonials page to read more. So we started with the homepage in this case because that was the best place to tell Upright's story and explain exactly how it works and why Upright is the best solution to fix your posture and help you live a healthier life. And then we were able to go in and optimize the product page. But again, it's all to do with context, who your customers are, where your biggest leaks are, and where you can have the biggest impact. It's not one solution for everyone. I can't just say like, hey, everyone go now and optimize your homepage. That might not be necessary.
With the rise of AI and automation, how do you see conversion? How do you see CRO evolving?
I think there's going to be a lot of tools that are going to help us do research and figure out pieces. And maybe there'll also be a lot of AI tools that will help us optimize the website. But as I said before, I think the most important thing is AIs right now are as good as what you feed them. So if you want to get high converting copy, or if you want to get recommendations that will actually help you optimize your own website, you first have to feed as much information as possible about your customers, and not just age, geographical location, gender, and device that they use. You have to be able to say, this is the top 3 pains. These are the top 3 challenges. This is how they feel right now. This is how they want to feel. These are the pages they go to. These are the products that they've tried and haven't worked. They haven't worked because 1, 2, and 3. When you feed that into AI, you can get better answers from AI and you can leverage it a lot more. I think right now it's very surface level. I've seen incredible tools, but when it comes to marketing, I still haven't seen something that's groundbreaking, just because it helps. It's an assistant, but it hasn't replaced anything yet that is meaningful and really helps solve problems. So I do think there's going to be a huge leap. I do think that we're going to see incredible things come out. I just hope that people remember, as I said before, technology changes, but people don't. So we want to make sure that we are mindful of the people behind the screens. They're not robots.
I've been looking at some AI heat map. They literally just upload a landing page to AI and then let the AI do this work, and then they will just tell you this is where we will look at, this is where we will look. What do you think about those tools? Those tools is not based on real data, but based on AI. Or do you think that is something that is the future?
I don't know. I think all these tools at the end of the day need to be leveraged in a smart, and they'll be as strong as the wielder. So I think it just depends on who's using them and how they're using.
It's been so is there anything that you want to cover?
I don't know. No, I think I've spoken about the most important things. I just hope if you're thinking now about optimizing your website, start with an audit, an emotional audit. Look at your website and ask yourself, are you talking about yourself, or are you talking about your product, or are you making it about the customer? Are you putting them first and talking about what they're looking for? More often than not, most websites make it about themselves because we don't know what to say. So we talk about it.
When a client on board with you, can you describe what's the onboarding process looks like?
Well, we start with an audit and research. So every client we work with, we start with this research phase of really just understanding the customers, understanding the product itself, seeing the huge potential and where the opportunities are, and building a roadmap for optimization based on the most critical pieces that need optimizing. We'll highlight the top 3 or 4 strategic pieces that need optimizing, and then we'll break it down according to different pages, the funnel, the emails that we're looking at. And then once we've done the audit and we present that and we show our clients all the potential and we give them all our recommendations for how we think it should be optimized and the roadmap, then we work with clients all the time, weekly, to launch tests, to write copy from scratch, to wireframe, to create new designs with their design team, to A/B test new ideas, and constantly report on what we're learning from them. And it really is a process with conversion optimization. So we learn a lot and the team learns a lot, and they can leverage those insights, not just for marketing, but for sales or for customer success and retention.
So that is what you guys are going to get if you guys are going to go with. Can you, Talia, could you give us an example? Who is your target?
Mine. My target audience.
Is that going to be I guess everyone who have a website is going to be needing a CRO, but what's the ideal target audience?
I would say that most companies that we work with are high growth companies that have a lot of traffic. They've got a lot of conversions happening, but they're trying to scale, and they know that something's broken with their messaging. They know that something's broken with their approach to market. I'd say a lot of B2B brands are our customers, but also e-commerce brands are great when they're ready for e-commerce. I think for A/B testing, I think obviously we do have clients that don't A/B test because they can't, but there's a lot of optimization that we can do. I would say it's not anyone with a website. It really is brands that have a marketing team that are driving a lot of traffic, that are seeing conversions but want to scale, and are ready to go beyond just testing elements and want to really implement something more strategic that can inform their whole marketing strategy.
And where can people find?
On LinkedIn is the best place probably, but also GetUplift.co. And of course, I'm on all social media platforms. So there's that. And I also have a book coming out. So that will be coming soon to the website and Amazon.
Okay, amazing. I'll make sure that we put it in the show notes on all of the social media platforms and books for you guys to read. And that's wrapped up on this episode of Digital E-commerce Podcast. A massive thank you for Talia Wu for sharing her invaluable insight on conversion optimization and emotional targeting and A/B testing. If you're ready to take your funnels, landing page, and website to the next level, which of course, if you have enough traffic to ready to A/B test, be sure to check out Talia's work and follow her on social media for more CRO tips and strategies. Don't forget to subscribe to the Digital E-commerce Podcast for more expert insight and actionable advice to grow your business. Until next time, keep optimizing and converting like never before. Thank you.
Thank you.